Energy Lab, you're going to get a tub, and you also need to get an electronic balance. And these actually go up to the 100th because we need to be very precise. So we just need to be very careful with these. These are very expensive balances. You'll be using these in chemistry next year. So let's go ahead and unload our tub, paying attention how it comes out. The main thing when you restock your tub at the end is that the tray goes in first, then the ring stand, and then everything else lays in there. So let me take everything out, and then we'll go over each piece and as we build our apparatus. So this is our ring stand. Here's our tray. And then we can put this on the floor or move it out of the way just so we can do our lab. So the first thing we need to do is we are going to set up, let me go over the equipment first. So this is our ring stand, metal tray, wash bottle so we can fill the graduated cylinders. We don't have to go back and forth to the sink, but we will need to empty the cans of water at the end of each test. Then this is the electrode probe. This is going to hold our temperature probe. Then we have a LabQuest. This is an interface that is going to read the temperature on the probe, so it'll be displayed. There's other features that you can do, but we're just going to focus on hooking it up and getting it turned on and then reading. So that is the LabQuest. This is a ring that's going to go on the ring stand to hold our can. We're going to have a glass stirring rod with a rubber stopper, just act like a little handle, 6-inch ruler, and then a power source, power supply to go with our LabQuest. We have 2 small cans. These are like 5.5 to 6 ounce cans, foil. Don't worry about the Ziploc bag. We're going to construct a food holder that is a cork, foil, and then in here we also have 2 pieces of screen with a paper clip, and I'll show you how we're going to build that in a second, but there's 2 of those. And then our food samples. Okay, and you'll only have one of these bags. I pulled both. It just depends on what table you're sitting at, so I'll explain that in just a moment. And then the last thing would be a lighter to burn our food. One thing that we do need to make sure is that no loose clothing, we have our hair pulled back, and all of our safety protection on, and we will be wearing gloves for this lab. So to set up, first thing we're going to do is we're going to build from the table up. So we're going to start with our ring stand. And what I'm going to do, let's say this is where I'm going to build my apparatus. I'm going to turn my ring stand backwards so that I can put my tray here, because I'm going to be moving my tray. If I put it here, there's a good chance that that's going to fall off and then everything's going to topple over. So I'm going to construct everything on the back of my ring stand. I'm going to go ahead and I can put my ring on. I will adjust the height in just a moment. So there's just a thumb screw on the back. Just tighten that. Just get it on there right now. So then we're going to put on our temperature electrode support and just move that out of the way, and we will readjust that later. When we hook up the temperature probe, there's 2 holes. I think so it's not sliding through, to put it in the smaller hole. And since we're working with an open flame, we're going to tuck this wire behind, and then someone's going to be in charge of monitoring the LabQuest and watching the temperature, make sure it doesn't stop. And also we need to determine when it reaches the highest temperature, because then it will start to cool down. So let me construct our food holder first. Let me move this tray out of the way. So we have 2 pieces of foil, the 2 screens, metal screens with a paper clip that's been bent and stapled on, and then we have 1 natural cork. Okay, so we're going to use this 1 cork for both of our food holders, but we don't want to reuse the foil, screen, and paper clip between the two food samples. So we'll clean up, we'll reuse the cork and build our next one. So to build, we're going to take our cork, and you're going to notice how I have the wide base down, and then I'm going to put the foil over and then kind of make like a little ledge or a cup around it so that it looks like this. Okay? Then I'm going to take my screen and my paper clip, and I'm going to bend it so that it makes like a little plate or a shelf. I'm going to put that paper clip into the cork, and some of them have soft spots, so I just need to find a spot and then push it in just a little bit. Then I'm going to bend up so it makes like a little bowl. That way nothing rolls off, nothing falls off. So this is my food holder, okay? And then when I switch to my second food, I will use these new materials and the cork to make my second food holder. What I need to do is, let me get to my electronic balance. So let's go ahead and talk about the electronic balance. Each table will have a table number on it that you're responsible for your electronic balance. So there is a cover on top that protects it. So I'm just going to open the cover, and then I'll have my metal weighing surface. So what I need to do is I need to turn this on. There's a lot more buttons than what we've seen on the 10th balance. So we have on off, we have our 0 instead of just pushing the off button. So we actually have a tare or a 0 button. And then we're not going to worry about these other 3 buttons. So these are just the 2 you need to focus on. So I'm going to turn it on, and you got to give it a second. It's going to go through and do its calibration. So when you're to the right spot, see if I can get that so you can see it. Okay, it's going to be moving here. Okay, you're going to have in the upper right a little battery symbol, and then it should be G or grams. And then that's going to be moving a lot since I am picking it up. So when you get to that, make sure it's weighing in grams, then I'm going to 0 if it's not already zeroed out. So it should be calibrated. So what I need to do, if you go to your OneNote, the pre-lab, for each food sample, you're going to be finding the mass of before and after burning. So first thing we need to do is we've constructed our food holder. We're going to find the mass of the food holder by itself. This balance is very sensitive, so if you're bumping the table or hitting it, okay, it could change. So just make sure everyone kind of backs off, and then you're going to record. Make sure you record all of the numbers. We want it to the nearest hundredth. You are not rounding on these measurements. So I'm going to write down 6.02. Every food holder mass could possibly be different. The screen could be a different size, the amount of foil that I gave you. So always find the mass of whatever you're testing. Don't assume if one food holder is this mass, the other one's going to be that mass. It could be, but don't assume that. So I've got my food holder. Now I need to determine the food holder and the food, because eventually I just want to know the mass of the food. So, depending on what table you're at, you're going to have bags, and each bag is going to have 2 food samples in them. So I just grabbed one. So table 1 through 3 is going to be testing popcorn and marshmallow. Table 4, 5, and 6 will be testing banana chip and potato chip. And then each bag, this one just happens to be sample 1, but you could have table 5, sample 2. Okay? So I want to pay attention to that, because we are going to do class data, and we're going to actually have eventually for each sample, so banana chip, we're going to have 3 samples that we're going to find the average for our calculations. So instead of running 12 tests, we're going to divide and conquer so we can get enough data. So we'll have 4 different foods, 3 samples for each food. So when we share the data, pay attention in the table what food it is, what table it is, and which sample it is. So look at the columns very carefully, and make sure you record the numbers in the correct spaces. So I'm going to take my food out. So let me just go ahead and do a marshmallow. And you may have the potato chip or the popcorn or whatever the case may be. Now, I should not have to say, do not eat any of this food. For example, the marshmallow. Okay, it's kind of hard. I've been working on this one bag for about 6 or 7 years. So, it's crusty. So I want to find the mass of just the food. So to do that, I've already found the mass of the food holder. Now I need to find the mass of all of this together. Make sure I'm zeroed out again. So I'm going to wait until it's done. So in this case, it's 6.57. To find the mass of just the food, I'm going to subtract this mass from the mass I originally found with the food holder. Then I have the mass of just the food. The reason why, yes, I could just put this on there and find the mass of the food. However, after we're done burning, I need to find the mass of the food. Some of that food is going to stick to the screen, and then I'm going to miss that mass because these balances are very sensitive. That's why I want to include the food holder, because if any food is burnt and stuck to this, then I can subtract the food holder again, and then I have the mass of the food. Hopefully that makes sense. So once I find this mass, I can go ahead and get my, I'm going to turn this off. So you have to hold it. There we go. Get my balance out of the way. And now I'm going to start constructing. So like I said, I'm going to build from the table up. So here's my tray. I'm going to put my food holder in my tray. That way if anything falls or whatever, I can catch it. Okay? It's not going to be a lot of flames going on here. Then I need to do my can. So I've got 2 cans, and it doesn't matter, they're labeled 1 and 2, so it doesn't matter which one you use first. And then you also have some foil in here. We need to try to make it as close of an environment conditions as a closed system as we can. So you notice there's obviously the hole where you drink out of, but there's also 2 holes on the side. This is where I'm going to put the stirring rod, okay, because the glass is not going to conduct heat, and we're going to suspend this. So I'm going to put this in my ring, and I will need to adjust this, okay. I need to have the can, the bottom of the can, 1 inch from the top of the food. So this is where 2 people comes in handy. So one person can hold the ruler, and you're going to get it eye level, and you don't have to touch it because it is kind of hard to do. And so I'm going to have my partner, she's going to come over, and she's going to lower the ring, and she's going to tell me when to stop to when she sees that the top of the food to the bottom of the can is 1 inch. So you may have to kind of adjust this because when you do tighten it and loosen, it does move a little bit. So there, we're going to say that's 1 inch. So there's my height. Then what I need to do is I need to find the mass of my can and the mass of my water. So, just like I did on the food holder, I'm going to get my electronic balance. I'm going to find the mass of this specific can. That's why I numbered them. So there's the mass of the can recorded in my table. Then I'm going to measure out 50 milliliters in my graduated cylinder. So this is a 50 milliliter graduated cylinder. I'm just going to use my wash bottle and fill that up. So we can have different people working on different tasks, so we can get the lab started. So I'm going to pour this in, and then I'm going to find, just like I did with the food holder, then I'm going to find the mass of the can plus the water, and then I'm going to subtract to find just the mass of the water. Okay? Move this aside, reassemble this, and again, you know, don't have someone setting this up when I'm finding the mass of this can and this water. So treat everything separate. So there is that system. Then I need to move my thermometer down into my can. Now this is a little tricky. I don't want the tip of the thermometer touching the bottom of the can, the sides of the can, or the stirring rod. I want it suspended just below the surface so I can get the temperature of the water as the food, the heat from the food is heating up the water. So you need to look down into the can, and one person can do this and then someone can check. So after my water's in there, what I do is I make sure I'm holding on to this, I go to the bottom, okay, and then I come up about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see. Then I have my second piece of foil, and what I want to do is I'm going to try to cover up these holes the best I can to keep all that heat in. So to do that, I'm going to take my piece of foil and I'm just going to tear it in the middle so that it makes like a slit to the center. And then I'm going to go around and overlap it on the back, tuck everything in. Okay, this is after I've already got my thermometer the right depth, covering up all these holes. Okay, so this entire setup is for my calorimeter apparatus. Got the food holder apparatus, the calorimeter, because it's going to measure calories. It looks like calorie meter. That's what it looks like. So let me just make sure my cord is out of the way. Now, for the LabQuest, on this one, the button is on the top, so I'm going to turn it on. Give it a second. It takes a little bit of time. Get this out of the way. You may need to take the charger and plug it in if it loses its charge. So this is a different connection, okay? We have this little white clip here, little spring-loaded clip. This is plastic. If you're not careful and this breaks off, you have to throw the whole thermometer away. It's really crazy because it won't stay inside the LabQuest. So taking it in and out of its bag, so here's the bag, just be careful, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find, there's connections all the way around this, okay? So here's the power. So if I'm looking at it straight on the right, here's the power plug-in. And then on the other end, it says channels. Let's just go with channel 1. And I'm gonna put it in until it clicks, okay? Then it will pop up, and if it's working right, you'll notice that it'll say 23.0, and it's in degrees Celsius. If, for instance, I accidentally put it in channel 2, okay, it's just gonna change here. So I can plug in actually 3 thermometers, but the channel doesn't matter as long as it's clicked in and you notice that it's working. So someone's gonna be monitoring this. So we want to have our initial temperature and then whatever the max temperature is, and that's going to be recorded in our data table also. So now I'm ready to go. I'm ready to start burning my food. On this, we're going to use our lighter, whoever's comfortable with that. Now, if I put the lighter directly under the food, which is directly under the can, I'm finding the heat given off by the lighter and not the heat given off by the food. So I'm going to be moving this a lot. You can have one person moving this, one person lighting, or one person doing all of this. It's up to you. So let me make sure my food's in there just right. There we go. So I'm going to light it. When I see that it's lit, burning, smoke coming off of it, then I'm going to quickly move it under my can. When I see that it stops burning or there's no smoke, then I'm going to move it back out and I'm going to relight it. So you may have to go on top, just check it every once in a while. Okay, here we go. So it's burning, looks like one of those little 4th of July snakes. Okay, so it'll keep burning. Then when it gets to smoke, I still got a little bit. So here's the smoke. I've got a little bit of red on the back. Okay, no more smoke is coming off, so I'm gonna relight. Still got some side on the side. There we go. I'm gonna go back under. Some foods are a little bit harder to light and stay lit, so you may be moving this a lot. I might need to come from the bottom side. I want this completely black in color until can't burn anymore. All the energy's been burnt up. So that's why someone watching the temperature is so important. When that temperature either is maintained or it starts to drop, things start to cool down, take that highest temperature. When I'm done, I'm going to go back to my electronic balance. I'm going to find the mass of all of this burnt food, food holder. I will subtract the food holder from the food after it's burnt, because some may be stuck to my screen. Then for cleanup. So I'm going to disassemble all of this, and then I'm going to do my second food with the same setup. So I'm going to move my thermometer out of the way. I'm going to take my foil, I'm going to throw it away. Then I'm going to take my can apart. For my food holder, I'm going to throw my foil away, and I'm going to dump the big pieces of food in here, and then that's going to be thrown away. This screen and paper clip, I try to use it as much as possible before I have to make new ones. So this is going to go into a soapy tub. This cork, do not throw this cork away. So foil, food, trash. I'll have a bin that we can put all this in at the sink. Soapy tub to be washed. Cork will go back in your tub, and if you are one of the classes that has to restock, then I'll give you a new bag with foil and the little screen and paper clip, and you're simply going to put the cork back in and put it back in your tub for the next class. If you're the last class, just put the cork back into the bag and put it in your tub. Then I will do everything I just did for my second food. I will construct my new food holder with new foil, okay, new paper clip, new screen, find the mask, do everything I just did except with my second food sample. So if you do have any questions, make sure you take a look at this, you understand this, and then clean up. When you clean up, you're going to take all of this apart. The most important thing is that this tray goes in first, and then the ring stand, because those are the heaviest items. And then you can start putting heavy items in first. You're going to disconnect the Quest, pinching that white, so carefully, don't just start pulling on it. Make sure this is turned off, and it'll ask if you want to store. So you may have to hold it until it goes dark. There we go. It takes a little bit of time. It'll shut down in so many seconds. Let that do its thing. The thermometer. I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to pay close attention to this clip. And then I have a bag. Again, careful, not that I'm jamming that in there. I actually hold onto that end to tuck it away. I'll put that up. Lighter goes up. Then I will have my cans. My cans will go, empty those at the sink and just leave them at the sink. I've got more. And again, you'll need to restock this if you're one of the classes that is asked to restock. The last class, you do not need to worry about it, so just put that in there. The food will go back in. The charger, the Quest if it's off, my wash bottle, and then I restocked the food holder bag, or put just the cork in. Make sure the electronic balance is completely turned off. You'll put the tubs back at the table, and then the electronic balances will be put on either the cart or at Blake's desk. I've got the ruler. Then you'll spray your table down.